Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Chief, you can hype. And you said what? Chief, you say I go perform for her.
Oh, you don't perform for Accra girls before?
No, never.
Oh,
thanks for having me, guys. I'll try and keep this one very, very brief. He also didn't add that I'm a basketball player, and that's where the name Jayso is from. And I'll tell you guys briefly why the name Jayso, because a lot of people ask, is your name Jason, or why Jayso? And the name Jayso is from Jason Kidd. Back in Presec, I was a point guard for the basketball team. So the boys used to call me Jason Kidd because they said I played like Jason Kidd. So Jason became Jayso. Just like back in high school, if you're Kwame, the guys call you Kwamo. Or, so Jason became Jayso. So that's why I'm called Jayso. Like I said, I'm going to keep this very, very brief. What I'm doing is not scripted, so we will freestyle on. Yeah. And I'll just talk about music production briefly and what goes into music production. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm going to break it into 8 parts. Step 1, which is writing a song, because that's the first stage. As a producer, people will come to you with songs that they've written or songs that they want to work on, and they need your assistance. And then the next stage, which is recording a demo. For instance, if you come to me and you say you have a song, I would want to demo it. Give the beat to the artist and tell them that, go home, master the beat. Work on it, write to it, make sure that you've rehearsed it properly before you come into the studio, because you're spending money in the studio. And imagine if you have to sit down for like 8 hours waiting for someone to write a song. I mean, you just be sitting there waiting for the person, and it's not convenient for anyone. So usually ask the person to rehearse the song properly before they come into the studio. The 4th one, recording the basic tracks. Which is pretty much like the session. Once the artist is ready, he comes into the studio, he or she, comes into the studio, and we record the basic tracks. And I say basic tracks because you have to start from a certain point. Maybe the beat is not ready, so you need to create the beat, and then you need to start laying the sessions out, figuring out what your lead vocal is going to be, what your backing vocals, ad-libs and all that. You figure all those things out, and you do setting up your session, basically. And then editing the music, which is number 5. And then we get into the mixing of the song, and then the mastering process. So I'll go from the top: writing the song, recording the demo, rehearsing it. Number 4, recording basic tracks, editing the music, mixing the music, and mastering. These are like the basic stages in music production. Now, you hear people say, okay, I'm a music producer, or I'm a producer. Or you find artists say that they want a music producer, or they want a producer to help them. And usually when people say producer, they get it. I think a lot of people have it confused. They don't understand who a music producer is. They think the music producer is the person who's going to invest in the artist. Or when an artist says, okay, I'm looking for a music producer, he's expecting someone who's going to come in, invest, take him to the studio, shoot expensive music videos for the person. That's what the person is thinking a producer is, but that's not who a music producer is. And I'm going to explain the different roles. I'll mention a few positions: the music producer, the sound engineer, the one who's making the beat, the engineer. I'm going to explain all these different roles so you guys understand the different roles. Now, a music producer is not necessarily the one making the beat. The music producer doesn't have to know how to make a beat. The music producer is the one who is coordinating the session. Let's pick a situation in the studio where you have someone making a beat. You have a bassist, you have a pianist, you have someone playing the drums, and then you have the artist also in the session. The producer is the person directing the entire process. He's the one telling the drummer, you know what, let's go with this groove. He's the one telling the bassist, you know, this is how the sound is going to be, so let's play it in this way, let's try these riffs. And he's also the same person directing the artist how to sing the song, the best way to sing the song. So usually the music producer is skilled. He understands all these different elements. He knows a bit about, you know, basically a good composer, someone who understands music and sounds. And mind you, there are so many different genres of music. And there are producers who work specifically for those genres. A hip-hop producer might not be good for a high life production. You know, so it's important to understand like the producer's job. And what I just explained is what the producer does, basically, directing the session. What you find in our system is one person playing all these different roles. So you have a producer, someone who's playing the beat, he's the same person mixing it, he's the same person mastering it. And like me, I'm a recording artist as well. So I happen to be an artist as well. So I am producing, recording, mixing, and mastering. But it's important to understand that all those different things, mixing, you have a mixing engineer for that. Mastering, you have a mastering engineer for that. And then when you are doing the session itself, the guy who's behind the mixer board pushing all those buttons, he's a session engineer who doesn't also need to know how to mix a song or master a song. But if you understand, or if you have the know-how to do all these different things, then it's a plus for you. Now, there is also the executive producer, which I'm sure a lot of you hear, and that person is usually the one putting in the funds, or maybe the label. They are the business people, the ones making the business decisions for the artist. Okay, so I hope that is clear. When I finish, I'm sure you guys are going to ask some questions if there's no understanding there. I'm going to quickly get into some of the production softwares I use to make a beat or to produce a song. There are various softwares out there. The most basic one that I'm sure a lot of you have seen is a software called Fruity Loops. Now it's FL Studio. And this software is a sequencer. It allows you to create whatever you want to create musically. You know, it comes with multi-tracks that you can use to set your different samples. So for instance, if you pick, let's pick again a studio session. You have your drummer. It gives you a track where you can create your drums. It gives you an extra track if you want to play your bass, you can play it in that track. So it's a multi-track software. It's also a sequencer. I'll open it quickly and take you guys through it. I see Jawai in the house, and Jawai is a very good beatboxer. So I might ask Jawai to join me. He'll create something, beatboxing, and then I will try and replicate that with the software so you guys understand how it works. Jawai, can I please have you? Don't give me any hard beatbox or... So that's the kick. That's what you call the kick. So then let's get into a snare. That's your snare. Then let's get to a hi-hat. So you had a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. And in producing hip-hop music or hip-hop beats, these are like the basics. You know, we can get into so many different instruments, but we'll just work with a few drums for now. Now, you realize that he was doing it at a certain pace. That's what we call the tempo. Okay? And the software allows you to set your tempo he was going. Am I doing it well? Okay. Okay, so we're going to set the tempo or the BPM, which is beats per minute. And you have a metronome that helps you to count the pace, you know, how you want to set it. This is too fast. You can see the numbers moving over there where I've highlighted. Okay, so a little too fast. I think this is fine. Jawai, I need your permission. Is this okay? Cool. So we're going to get into the kick, which is this sound. This is the kick and the snare that Jawai was doing. And like I said, it's a sequencer. So based on the time or the BPM that you've set, you're able to place your samples. The kick is called a sample, the snare is called a sample. You're able to place your samples on the sequencer according to the BPM that you've set it to play or to emulate what Jawai just did. And I'm very glad Jawai was here because it makes it very easy for you to understand the process of making a beat. And for a lot of hip-hop producers, it's always good to sort of in your mind understand or know what you're even going to program before you even start. So for someone who knows how to beatbox, it's even easier because you can just start beatboxing it and then straight away try and put that onto the software. And I'll just put some hi-hats in there as well. And so this is pretty basic, you know, this is like a basic drum pattern. It's a hip-hop drum pattern. It can work with different genres, but this is basically how you start with. Now from this you can do so many other things. You can add any instrument you want to add. What usually I do is I use an instrument, it's called a MIDI controller, which is a keyboard plugged to the computer. So I'm able to play whatever I want to play through the software and it will be sequenced or recorded onto the software. But there are emulations of real softwares, like just as you will see a grand piano. These grand pianos are emulated or software versions or electronic versions that you can find and download and use within the software, and they are called instruments or VST instruments. So I'll just open one instrument for you guys to see. Okay, this one is called FL Keys. It comes with the software. It's pretty basic, but just so you understand what I'm driving at. So this is a keyboard. This is an electronic version of a keyboard that comes with a software that you can use, you know. So if you have your MIDI controller attached to your computer, you can play from the keyboard and it will still be registering, just as I'm using the mouse to highlight the keys and click on the keys. If you have a MIDI controller, you can set it up and you will be able to play the instruments via the MIDI controller. If you want to record live instruments as well, you can do that directly. If you have a good sound card or a good mixer, you can just go straight to your mixer or sound card, and it still allows you to record line inputs. So be it voice, be it an instrument or whatever, you can still record it into the software. Okay, I mean, Nicole is next, so let me get into the questions. Hopefully by the time I'm done with that, I can show you the software briefly.
Thank you very much.